I'm at Fort Churchill State Park in Silver Springs, Nevada. The fort was established in 1860 and abandoned in 1869, and although it wasn't in operation for very long, it's an important part of Nevada's history. Fort Churchill was built in response to the Williams Station Massacre, which occurred on May 7, 1860. Williams Station, owned by James O. Williams, was a stagecoach stop with a saloon and a general store. The massacre occurred while he was away, but he returned to find the smoldering ruins of Williams Station, along with the mutilated bodies of his two brothers and some saloon patrons. In two homes across the river, he also discovered the bodies of 13 settlers who had been murdered. So why did this massacre happen? Some men from Williams Station abducted and assaulted some native girls, and the massacre was a retaliation. These incidents led to more and larger conflicts, which became known as the Pyramid Lake War of 1860. And in July of 1860, the U.S. Army established Fort Churchill as a military outpost to provide security for settlers and to help maintain order in the area. When you pull up to the entrance, you'll need to pay a small fee to enter. It's $5 for Nevada residents and $10 for out-of-state vehicles. You can either put cash in an envelope and put it in the metal box, or you can pay with a credit card at this terminal. After you pay the fee, there's a small parking lot in front of the museum, which is currently closed. This building used to be a museum, but it's empty right now. I think they're doing some repairs, renovations, that sort of thing, and we're not sure when it's going to be reopened. There's no scheduled date for that yet. So as of now, it's just an empty building. So the museum may be closed, but if we go around the museum, there are some picnic tables, and then of course down that way, that's what we're really here to see. Before we head down there, though, there are some interesting things to see out here in front of the museum. There are a couple of cannons, but they were never used here because they're large and unwieldy and therefore considered useless for desert warfare. There are a couple of artillery caissons. These were pulled by a team of 6 horses and brought ammunition and tools to wherever they were needed. There are a few other old relics lying around, and there are a number of plaques sharing some of the interesting historic facts about this place. They also have some nice bathroom facilities. Why am I showing you this? Well, in a lot of state parks and historical sites, the bathroom may be nothing more than a toilet over an open pit. These facilities have plumbing and an actual flush toilet. Pretty nice. There's a cemetery here, but there isn't much here anymore. There were 44 soldiers buried here at one time. Soldiers who fell in battle or died of illness, exposure, or other hardships. The remains of those soldiers were removed and reinterred in the Lone Mountain Cemetery in Carson City. They are listed as Fort Churchill's unknown dead because weather and the passage of time took their toll on the headstones, leaving them unreadable. Now we get to move on to the main reason for coming here, to get a closer look at the ruins of Fort Churchill. So, they don't want you to wander off the path or, touch anything here, that kind of thing. It's totally understandable. But I do want to get a closer look at these. So, I definitely want to look at all of these. But I'm going to start that way, get a look at those two, then I'll make my way down that way. The officers' quarters. There is some lumber that has obviously been put in a lot more recently, presumably to help stop the wall from falling over. This is behind the first officers' quarter building. Okay, this one's the commander's office. I wish I could get inside just with the pole. The pole's not quite long enough to get all the way in there. Storehouses. This building was the hospital. Let's see if I can get close enough. I can't quite get all the way. Ooh, I might be able to get. I don't know how much I can see, but it's as far as I can reach with the stick and without straying from the path. As we keep going down this path, a couple more buildings there, a few way over there. Let's get a closer look. This building looks like it's fallen apart, clearly. But these buildings date back to the 1860s, so that's gonna happen. Time takes its toll. Now, is it at all ironic that the building that used to be the Powder magazine looks a little bit like it blew up? This one's a guardhouse. Aside from missing a roof, this one seems to be in pretty good shape. Actually, let's see what we can see in here. That's as far as I can reach with the boom pole here to see the inside of that building. These are adobe buildings. The bricks are made of mud with a high clay content and dried in the sun. When the walls are built, they're covered with a mud plaster, and you can see that the mud plaster is wearing away. Here's the front room of the guardhouse from the side. Oh, this is interesting. There's a painting, or a photo of a painting of the finished fort. So I imagine there was more stuff like that in the museum, but the museum is currently closed. We're coming up to the last few buildings. These buildings are barracks and mess halls. And for a couple of these buildings, all that remain are the subtle hint of a foundation where a building once stood. All right, we're coming up to the last two buildings as far as I can see. Looks like more barracks. You can really see the brick coming through on this one. I've seen all the buildings now. There's also a nature trail that goes down that way, and there are some railroad tracks, and the Carson River is down where all those trees are. All right, well, that's Fort Churchill, a site of historic significance here in Nevada, even if it was only for a few years. I find these kinds of historic sites fascinating, so I love to visit places like this. But we've come to the end, so that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.